Hey gang, your friendly neighborhood technology facilitator here again. This week, we're bringing you Google Forms. Remember, majority of your resources for learning this application can be found on our HyperDoc, which was posted today. This is just a short how-to video covering a couple of the tools and features of Google Forms. Now, unlike last few times, Google Forms is really its own application. There's nothing really to compare it to when we talk about Microsoft apps and Apple apps. It's a assessment app used for creating surveys, quizzes, exit tickets, you name it. So let's get into it. When we look across the top, a little different layout than we're used to. We have a couple options here for add-ons. We can adjust the theme. We can change the color of our form. You can even select a picture if you wanted to display in the background. Next to that, we have a little eyeball icon. This allows you to just preview the form that you've created so far and what it looks like for a viewer. Okay, you can see it opened a new tab. All we got to do is just close that tab to get back to our edit screen. Next to that is a little gear for settings. This is where a lot of the intricacies of Google Forms go on. Personal preferences such as collecting email addresses. So with that checked off, those taking the form or quiz have to put in their email address. Directly underneath that is who can take this form. Is it open up to anybody, or do you want to maybe restrict it to people within our district? Also things like limit how many responses that person can fill out. Okay. You have options as far as what the form will look like. Is there a progress bar? Do the questions get shuffled? And then, as I mentioned earlier, it can be actually turned into a quiz. And when you turn that on, you can actually set up a number of different preferences, such as displaying correct answers at the end. Point values for each question can be added. Okay, so there's a lot of different customizations that can be done there. Now this is just one place for some of the settings. If we look over here underneath the three dots, which we like to call the snowman, there's an option here for preferences as well. And there's a few other settings here that can be adjusted, such as a default point value or even making every question required. Okay. Something to note as well is where we normally would see our share button, we now have a send button. When we talk about forms, we don't really use the word sharing. We're more or less adding collaborators, and I'll show you that in a second. This send button is actually for sending a completed form to an individual or a group of individuals to fill out. Here you can see we have the option to fill in an email and send it to them that way. You can even check off this box to have the form embedded in that email so that they can take the form right in the email without actually going to another web page. We can get a link and just post this link somewhere on our maybe Google Classroom. We can send it. You can even embed it on like a teacher site if you wanted to. Here's an embed code for that. Or social media. Social media ties in a lot here. We're able to post it to Twitter, Facebook, or even Google+. Okay. And then as I mentioned before, instead of sharing, we would do add collaborators, and that's under the three dots. And when we do that, we see the same screen we see every other time when we share something. Okay, so just a little different vernacular. Does the same thing though. So here we have a form that's already kind of started for us. And then here's an option here, a question for email, a question for name. That's how you can gather this information. If we decided to check off collect email addresses, well, guess what? We wouldn't really need this question here. And as we select these different questions, we can not only edit the question, but we have some other options. We can duplicate it, delete it, decide if we want to make it required or not. And in this case, maybe we just want to get rid of it because we're collecting email addresses. So we delete, and that question's gone. Okay. So above is again the name of our title, the name of our form, a description, and then we have our questions. Okay. Now, as far as adding questions go, let's take a look. So here we have a multiple choice. Right next to our area for our question is a drop-down arrow where we can see all the different question types we can choose from. So there's multiple choice, obviously one answer being the correct answer, checkbox, multiple answers, there's a drop-down option. There's a number of different options for questions that some of them allow for grading on their own. Others require you to review it, such as paragraph questions. Okay. If we come up here to name, which is a short answer question, we can see it gives the test taker or form filler outer, there you go, the option to put in their answer. Okay. Let's go back down here to the multiple choice. So here you can see we gave in a number of different answers. Okay, option 1, option 2. Okay, here's down here. If we wanted to add another option, we would just type in our answer, option 5. Okay, there's also this other option. When we click Add Other, that actually leaves a space for the person filling out this form to put in their own answer. So that's a unique option for multiple choice questions. Okay. Now, also within our multiple choice questions, when we're looking at, let's say, there we go. Next to each answer, we also have a little image icon, very similar to the insert image icon on the toolbars of docs and slides. When we click that, here we're brought to the same screen. We can upload, choose from our drive, but we're going to search. And here we go. So you can add pictures in for answers as well. Okay. So there's a number of different options and ways you can customize your questions. To the right side, you'll notice this little toolbar here. That allows us to, one, add a question. If we want to add text or instructions, we can do that. You can even add an image. I'll show you real quick here. Outside of just adding an image as an answer, you can put an image here and then maybe put a question. Please describe this image underneath that. Okay. You also have the capability to add a video. Watch this video. Tell us something about the video. Okay. Now beneath that is an option to add sections. So right now we have a number of different questions here. Some are paragraphs, some are short answer. But let's say this question, I want everything below this to be in a different section. I hit this section button. And now, starting here, I have a new section. So this is a good way to just separate your test into two separate parts. Maybe your multiple choice questions in the first half, and then your paragraph short answers on the second half. You can even go as far as to have certain answers take people filling out the form to different sections. And that's a little bit more in depth and requires a little more explanation. So if you're interested, feel free to email us with any of your questions as far as using that feature. Okay. That's just a quick look at Google Forms. Again, a lot more resources in that HyperDoc. Take a look at it. We look forward to seeing the kind of forms and assessments you guys come up with. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us or post a comment or question on our Google Classroom. Until next time, take care, guys.